Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is something that I didn't think that I was going to make. It's something I have steered away from wanting to discuss, mostly because I didn't want to be a negative part of a bigger conversation. A lot of you have been asking me about my health journey. It's pretty apparent if you've been watching me for the last couple of years that I've gone through a lot of different seasons in my life. I have taken on a lot of fitness and health into my life, and it's resulted in a different body. Many of you have been asking me what my journey looked like, what my routines are, how I got here, and I think for me, the reason that I've been so not against, but hesitant to talk about it is because I know how damaging some of these videos can be, and I don't want to be a part of that. So in this video, I am going to be showing my body in different seasons. I'm going to be talking specifics about weight at certain points and about the way that I'm eating, the way that I used to eat. If that kind of content isn't safe for you to consume right now, I welcome you to come back to any of my other videos, and I'll be happy to have you then. I really want you to make the right decisions for you, what's going to be beneficial to you in your journey, in your life. And if this is something that's not in there, then I totally understand that, and I'll see you in the next one. For those of you who are interested and here for my conversation about what my health journey has looked like, this, I guess, is the video for you. The reason that I've changed my feelings about making this video is because upon reflection, I've realized that my journey was safe for me. And it brought on a lot of changes in my mindset. It brought on a lot of positive changes in my mental health. And if that's something that I can bring into anyone's life, I really want to do that because I feel I've had so many benefits over the last 2 years since I've started really focusing on my health. In the beginning, it was a lot about how other people perceived me and societal standards. And it's been so beautiful to watch me, my little old me, change that in my own mind. So let's just get into it. Let's get into where I started, how I kind of started, and everything involved in the last 2 years of my health journey. Story time. Oof, okay. So back when I started this health journey, I really attached an emotion to the number on the scale. We're almost 2 whole years into this health journey to the date. It's February 18th today. I believe I started Orange Theory, which I'll get into, in February of 2018. I remember being up here in the Approachable headquarters where I used to live, and I stepped on the scale and I saw a number that just completely shattered me. At that point in my life, I was really still focusing on the number on the scale and how it determined my worth, which is just not true, as I hope we all know. I was really, really upset by this number, and it did make me feel like I was less than. Previously in my life, I have been an athlete. I was in dance, gymnastics, cheerleading. I tried all the sports. I was in track. I had all of these active things in my life. And upon seeing this number, it brought me back to the body that I had then. Where I was wrong in that is that it wasn't the body that I was in back then that was making me happy, it was the mindset. But at this point in February of 2018, I wasn't there yet mentally. I wasn't there able to see that it wasn't the outside that was what was bothering me, it was what was on the inside. I'm getting choked up. Because it makes me sad. It makes me sad that I was ever in that place where I thought that I was less than because of the skin that I was living in. It's just not true. Even though I was putting all of this external guilt and shame onto myself because of a number, an arbitrary number on the scale, because of this, I did decide to start taking matters into my own hands, so to speak. So upon seeing this number, I almost immediately started looking up fad diets, the keto diet, eating like supermodels, how you can lose fat quick, all of these things, which really left me feeling worse, if I can be honest. I did try out some of these fad diets for a week, 2 weeks. I was hungry, I was grumpy. It wasn't working for me. And I think after trying these YouTube videos that I was watching, and I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks, those sorts of things, I realized it's not gonna happen overnight. and it's going to have to be something that I'm gonna work at. And at this point, again, I'm still just focused on losing weight. And that's just how it was. So eventually, I can't recall how I came about it, but I came about this place called Orange Theory, not sponsored. I signed up. I actually went with Sam for the first time, and I really, really enjoyed it. Orange Theory is a group fitness class mainly focused on HIIT training, so high intensity interval training, where your heart rate goes up super high and you're working your buns off. And their claim is that because your heart rate has come so high for so long, hopefully, that you will continue burning calories past the point of working out. I believe this has something to do with like thermogenesis or something. Again, I'm not a personal trainer, I'm not a nutritionist. Don't take this as gospel. This is just my experience and what I did and my journey. So I started doing Orange Theory, and I noticed that every time I went to Orange Theory, I would come out of the gym feeling unreal. It was wild. I can't even explain how I felt. It was this feeling of pretty much euphoria when I would come out, and I was realizing, hey, this actually makes me feel good. While I was in there, I didn't feel so good, okay? At the Orange Theory that I went to, we would go on the treadmill, we would go on the rower, and you could either fast walk or run or jog, that sort of thing. On the treadmill, I was a fast walker, and I was a fast walker for 3 months. I did not ever run on that treadmill. I wasn't able to physically, and I was kind of noticing that my cardio and my ability to move my body was quite low for me from how it was in the past. Interestingly enough, though, this didn't upset me mentally. I just took note of it and I realized, okay, this is where I'm at right now. And so I just kept going back. I would go 3 times a week, 2 times a week, once a week, however often I could go that felt able for me, that I felt like I was able to do. And every time I came out, I felt better. So about 5 months into this Orange Theory sort of thing, I experienced a situation where I was having a lot of pain in my chest, specifically on the left side. I was having this pain and these weird palpitations, and I wasn't able to discern what was causing them, and they were causing me a lot of anxiety because I was stressed that I had a problem with my heart. I ended up going to the doctor, and one of the questions that she had asked me was, how often do you drink alcohol? I did what you're not supposed to do. I lied and told her half the number that I was actually consuming. So she asked me how much I'm drinking. I cut the number in half. I say it out loud. The look on her face when I said that number really worried me, because I know that I cut that number in half. She told me that she was concerned about alcoholic cardiomyopathy because of the amount that I was consuming, because of the amount of alcohol that I was consuming. I don't know a whole lot about alcoholic cardiomyopathy, but basically it's a thinning of the lining around the heart, I believe. In its advanced stages, the only thing that you can do is completely quit drinking to live, basically. It's a pretty serious condition. So she ordered a bunch of tests. I got back into my car after that appointment and immediately started Googling alcoholic cardiomyopathy and started crying. Knowing that I had lied to her and told her I was drinking half of what I was drinking and that this was still a concern from her made me really, really scared. I realized that the amount of alcohol that I was drinking was really impacting my life and now seemingly my body. I made the decision that day to quit drinking. However, 2 weeks later, I had already booked a trip to go to Las Vegas with one of my friends for her 30th birthday. You can see where I'm going with this. So for those 2 weeks, that span of 2 weeks, when I wasn't drinking, the pain in my chest completely subsided. I didn't feel any of the palpitations and I didn't feel any of the pain, the shooting pain that I had been feeling previously. Cut to 2 weeks later, I'm in Vegas, I'm getting my drink on in a big way, okay? No, I don't feel like most people go to Vegas and just like dabble in alcohol, okay? It was like a full send into alcohol territory. I noticed that my freaking pain came back almost immediately. I was feeling so anxious. I was having such a hard time with my chest pain. It was just overall a really shitty experience, going from feeling so great, so fine, basically, like I don't have this issue anymore, to completely back in the trenches of where I was 2 weeks previously. So the last day that we were in Vegas, I get to the airport, I'm completely hungover, like the worst, no, that's a lie, I've had some pretty bad hangovers. One of the worst hangovers I've ever had. In the airport bar, I order a big old beer, I chug it back before the flight just so that I can make it back, basically, because if any of you have been in that scenario, basically the only way you think you can make yourself feel better is by continuing drinking. Again, not good advice. Don't do that, please. That is the last drink that I've had in 20 months, I guess. It's 20 months and some odd days. So I got home from Las Vegas and I never had another drink again. Shocker! The pain in my chest went away again. We did all of these different tests. I had this Holter monitor that I had to sleep with. I went and got an EKG or an ECG. I got all of these different tests. I can't even remember them. I did a stress test. Basically, I think they threw like the test book at me. Everything came back fine. My heart is seemingly fine. So I went into the doctor. She gave me these results and she said, I believe that you have alcohol-induced anxiety. That makes so much sense to me. A lot of people call it hangxiety. So the amount that I was drinking was causing me to have a lot of anxiety. And when I was talking to my therapist about this, I was going to therapy once a week back then. She had told me that oftentimes what can happen is the guilt and shame that you feel around how much you're drinking can cause you to have really bad anxiety. Aside from all of the actual physical effects that can cause you anxiety from alcohol, which is also a depressant, the guilt and the shame aspect was, I think, what was really causing me to have these issues. So my heart is fine. I do not have alcoholic cardiomyopathy. Thank goodness. I'm so grateful. Every day that I wake up and I say to myself, I'm just not going to have a drink today, I just thank my heart so much for sticking in with me and not causing me irreparable damage. Long story not short for that one, I quit drinking alcohol. That was a game changer for my health and fitness. I basically immediately dropped 10 pounds. I was continuing to go to Orange Theory. I was not taking in the extra calories from how much I was drinking. I can tell you too how much I was drinking. I don't even know really, but I think it was probably 6 to 8 tall boy beers a day. And sometimes more. I could finish a Mickey of vodka, no problem. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like if you can think about how much I was drinking, I was probably drinking more. So all of those calories obviously were in my body, right? Especially because my main love for alcohol was beer, which is really calorie dense. It's just wheat, right? So now that I'm not taking in those liquid calories, they just weren't there, right? And that's the way that you lose fat is calorie deficit. Consuming less calories than you were consuming before or outputting more calories than you were before, leaving you in a calorie deficit. So that was great. That was amazing. I was doing exactly the same things as before going to Orange Theory, basically still just eating whatever, taquitos and pizza and stuff like that, which I'm not shading. I still love taquitos and pizza. I still eat taquitos and pizza, okay? I'm just saying, there was no mindfulness around the foods that I was eating still at this point. And I still managed to lose 10 pounds. And so that was really exciting for me because I thought, wow, getting rid of this substance really was the kicker for me. I'm now so available time-wise and mentally to focus on other things. And I don't feel like shit. And I want to make it clear, I have no judgment for people who want to drink alcohol. I have no judgment for anyone who has a problem with alcohol. That's not the point of this story. I had a problem with alcohol. It was affecting my life. I changed it. I just want to make that known because it's a big part of my story. It was really how I started to be able to take my health and fitness really to the next level. That sounds so cheesy, but it's true. So now we're coming into July. It's beautiful outside here in Vancouver. I'm not drinking, so I feel like I have all of this extra time. I'm struggling because I want to drink. I'm only a month into my sober journey. So I'm really trying to fill my time because boredom for me is the killer for my sobriety. If I'm bored, that's what I want to do. I want to drink because it's a time waster for me and I enjoyed it previously. And so it makes sense to me that when I'm bored, that's what I want to do. So I'm trying to fill all of the time I can. I start going for hikes. I start doing things that I really enjoy that are moving my body. I'm also able to think more ahead when it comes to what I'm eating. So I kind of stop ordering skip the dishes slowly. Okay, still sometimes order skip the dishes. And I'm starting to think more about what feels good when it goes in my body. What gives me energy when it goes in my body. And so I'm starting this kind of conversation in my head slowly throughout the summer. So now I'm about 5 or 6 months into my Orange Theory love affair. I'm starting to eat more mindfully. I decided that I'm going to start going to the gym. So I had always had a pass at my local YMCA. I used to go sit in the hot tub for hours and hours and chat with Sam. It was a whole thing. but I never really utilized the gym aspect. I think what scared me about going to the gym, not in a group class, was something that scares a lot of people. Do I look stupid here? Are people judging me for the way that I look? Is my form wrong and are people noticing? I don't know how to use this machine, so I'm gonna give up. So when people ask me how I overcame that, it really was just me not giving a fuck, basically. It was really hard for me at first. I would look around the gym and see if people were noticing. I would only do exercises that I knew how to do. So I would focus predominantly on abs and shoulders for some reason I felt really confident with, which is interesting because I don't work out shoulders that often anymore. Anyway, I would really steer away from doing any back exercises, arm exercises other than shoulders, and leg exercises. Slowly, I started to tear away those untruths that I was telling myself. I was telling myself a story about what other people were seeing and believing it when that story wasn't true. It was made up in my mind. And I was also attaching a feeling to that. Do I actually care what these people are thinking? If my form is wrong, do I care what Joe Blow over there thinks of my form? Not really. Obviously, form is important so that you're not injuring yourself, but in certain cases, you know what I mean? If I'm not doing a sit-up 100% correctly, who cares? You know what I mean? Eventually, I'll figure it out. So I was telling myself all these stories that just weren't true, and I started realizing this and just basically told myself to stop doing that. So a little ways into my YMCA love affair, I had my favorite trainer at Orange Theory quit that location. And I really work well with people that I connect with on some level. Maybe we just vibe humor-wise, maybe we have the same energy, whatever it is, I have to vibe with that person to be able to enjoy something. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's just me, maybe it's not, maybe that's a lot of people and you relate to that. But he was the only trainer that I would go to his classes. If you look on my class sheet, from the entire time that I was at Orange Theory, I tried 3 other instructors one time. That was it. Because I wanted to try to go to different classes and I just couldn't. The only class I liked was his. So he ended up leaving that location. I ended up leaving that location for the same reason. So now I'm just over at the YMCA. I decide that I want to start running. I thought it could be fun. It was fun. I can't believe it. I couldn't believe how much I liked it. This is when I remember really starting to include you guys in on my health and fitness journey. I started doing sweat selfies and telling you guys when I was going to the gym, and you would tell me when you were going to the gym, and it was kind of this bond that we had together, mainly over Instagram. And I really, really loved this, and the response that I got from my followers, from you guys, was that you liked it too. And so this really kept me motivated. This was a point where it was really hard for me still to go to the gym. I had to really psych myself up to go, and sometimes I would come to my stories and say, I really need some motivation. I really want you guys to help me. Please send me your cardio songs. Please send me some motivation. And you guys always came through for me. So that really told me that having a support system that's there for you is huge. There are so many days where I just wouldn't have gone if I didn't have that little extra push. Now, there are days when you need to listen to your body. If you're sore, if you mentally cannot take going to the gym, absolutely. That's 100% okay. This kind of motivation I'm talking about is, I feel like sitting on the couch, but I know I'll feel better if I go to the gym. And that's when the support system really, really comes in handy. If you have a friend that you go to the gym with, if you have a partner that you love to go to the gym with, when it's safe, obviously. Right now we're still in a pandemic, so it's a little bit harder. But that is something that I find really, really helps me. So this whole running thing is really when I feel like I kicked it into high gear. Okay, I think I said that about the alcohol thing, but this is like, that was more so my commitment to the health journey. This is my commitment to the fitness journey. So this is when I decided that I was going to be in competition with myself. That was a crazy revelation for me. This is the thing. This last 6, 7, 8 months of me quitting drinking, starting to go to Orange Theory, trying to lose weight, the whole time in my mind, I was still in competition with people on Instagram, celebrities, literally anyone else other than myself. And me starting to try to run a mile a second faster, 2 seconds faster, a minute faster, trying to lift 2 pounds more than I did the week previously. This is when I really realized I'm not in competition with literally anyone else. These people don't matter. They don't have the same bone structure as me. They don't have the same genetics as me. They don't have the same goals as me. I'm getting fired up. Oh, it was such a revelation, and I'm getting goosebumps. It changed my entire perspective on what I was doing, because I realized it's not going to ever make me happy trying to achieve something that somebody else has achieved. I want to achieve what I want to achieve. What does Alyssa want? That's the person that lives in this body. So why wasn't I asking that before? It was a wild mindset change, and it happened over weeks. It didn't just happen, boom, I'm in competition with myself. I think that the thought slowly started to creep in while I was doing these things that were just in competition with myself. So I believe I started my mile at 12 minutes. I think, if I can recall, that's how long it would take me to run a mile. I would start, I would stop, whatever, doesn't matter. Then I got to an 11-minute mile, and I was really, really excited. And I was celebrating, and I was like, hell yeah, I got to an 11-minute mile. But I didn't want to stop there. Then I got to a 10-minute mile. When I got to a 10-minute mile, I was like, this is it. I've done it. Amazing. And I am still proud that I got to a 10-minute mile. And then I didn't stop there. I still felt like I had more gas in the tank. And then over months of doing this, I think I got to a 7-minute, 26-second mile. I think that that's where I got to. I know that it was in the 7-minute, but I don't believe I ever got to 7 minutes. Doesn't matter. It was just amazing how I could see my progress in something that wasn't my physical body, because I am so much more than my physical body. What I loved was that I was changing internally, that obviously my heart was getting healthier, that I was eating better, and I was able to perform at a higher capacity. It was unreal for me to put so much emotion into these accomplishments and not what was happening on the scale, not what was happening in the mirror. They were things that were outside of what society told me, this is what you should achieve. These were things I actually wanted to achieve, and that was huge for me. Then, sadly, my hip gave out. I had an issue where I had a lipoma that was wrapped around a muscle, and I'd been trying to get it removed for years and years. That's a whole other story. It was causing me a lot of pain. And it turned out that running this high impact cardio was really, really aggravating it. And I listened to my body and I said, hey, I can't do this anymore. I pushed it to the side. So now, even still, I don't go on the treadmill. I don't run anymore, because I know that that's not something that serves my body. And so I'm listening to that, and I'm not pushing my body to do something that it just, quite frankly, can't do. There are certain things like gait and shoes and all of these things that can change how your body feels when you're doing certain cardio activities, but there's also sometimes where, hey, this is how my body's built. These are my bones that were given to me. You know, these are things that just my body can't do. But it didn't deter me. I shifted, and now I love the Stairmaster. At the beginning, I was able to do 2 minutes on the Stairmaster, and that was me full capacity. I could not go any longer, and that was fine for me. And I said, hey, I'm gonna do the same thing on the Stairmaster that I did on the treadmill. And I'm gonna try to get to 100 floors eventually. And so I started to do this, and eventually I did get to 100 floors. And then I decided I wanna get to 100 floors faster. And so I would push myself every day. Every day that I would go to the gym, I would push myself to get to those 100 floors faster. And in a way that was still honoring my body. I wasn't going overboard and risking injury. It was just a friendly competition with myself. How fast can I get to these 100 floors? At this point, I had lost another 10 pounds. So now I'm 20 pounds down from where I started. Also at this point, I started dating someone who had previously been a personal trainer and was also really, really into the gym. And I think that we're about a year now into my health and fitness journey, and now I'm starting to go to the gym with him. It was really, really kind of him to show me different exercises and different ways that I could use weights in the gym and really be there for me when I didn't feel like I was able to do this on my own at the time. I still didn't feel like I was super comfortable in the gym. I wasn't quite able to get rid of all of the outward noises, the outward stories that I was telling myself about what people were thinking about me. Having someone in the gym with me who was so confident being there, who didn't care what other people were thinking was huge for me. And I think that that's why sometimes having a personal trainer can be so beneficial, even just for 1 or 2 sessions, because they're so confident. And by proxy, that confidence, I feel like it oozes into you, and eventually you can start to feel like, hey, I do know what I'm doing. I do know how to use these machines. And it just becomes a more comforting space for you. In my experience, that's how it worked anyway. I feel like I'm just like rambling, but you asked for this. At this point is when I started taking what I was eating a little bit more seriously. Previously, I had stopped eating fast food, skip the dishes, stuff like that. Still eating it, 4 or 5 times a week, whereas before I was eating out almost every meal. So now I'm starting to try to find different recipes that are still as quick for me as the fast food, but a little bit healthier. I'm not going to go into the specifics of what I was eating because I genuinely can't remember, but it was just this idea that I started noticing how my body felt when I was eating foods on a deeper level. Previously, it was like, okay, I don't feel great when I eat McDonald's, right? That sort of thing. Now it's more so, I don't feel great when I make this food for myself, but I feel better when I eat X, Y, and Z. Eventually, I did end up losing another 10 pounds. So now I'm 30 pounds down from where I started. I believe this is when the pandemic hit. The pandemic shook us all, obviously. I think that there was this huge thing on social media where it was like, how can we still be productive? How can we still get our workouts in? How can we do this? And we didn't really allow ourselves to really feel the weight of what was happening in the world and the tragedy that was going on. But I did want to let myself feel that, and I did feel it. I did basically nothing for the first couple weeks of lockdown in the city that I'm in. We were thankfully only in lockdown for, I think it was 2.5 months, maybe 3 months. I can't recall. It wasn't that long that our gyms were closed. But in the 2 weeks that I wasn't doing anything to move my body, I noticed my mental health decline significantly. I noticed that my anxiety was coming back in a big way. I wasn't feeling ready to get out of bed in the morning. And I knew that I was capable in that time of changing it. And that is just for me. And if it's something where you need to honor your body when it says, I can't work out right now, absolutely, because that's your journey. But this is what happened for me. I realized that I wasn't able to be a self-starter at home. So I hired a coach. So if any of you watched the podcast that we did with Kirsten from the Big Booty Boss Academy, that's the community that I joined. It was $40 a month when I joined. I'm not sure if it's the same now, but it was back then. And you got an entire workout program sent to your phone. It was on an app called Trainerize, and she had recipes and workouts, and she did live Zoom workouts. And I realized that when I started doing these, my mental health started improving astronomically. This is kind of the moment where I realized that working out was mainly for my mental health. I didn't fully recognize it before. I did notice that if I was having a really bad anxiety day, if I would go to the gym, my anxiety would be actually gone by the time that I got home. But I didn't fully put 2 and 2 together really until this point when I realized, wow, this is what's keeping me personally mentally stable. So I committed myself to doing these workouts. It was awesome. I felt so good about it. I was feeling inspired. I was posting about it to my Instagram, and it just felt like it fit. Then the gyms opened back up. I got my butt right back in the gym, and everything was the same for me. But here I noticed that I wasn't at where I wanted to be, and I felt like I was working so hard and just not seeing the results that I wanted to see. I didn't feel as strong. I didn't feel like my cardio was going up, and I was noticing that I was having a lot of digestive issues because I was still eating 5 times a week things that really hurt my stomach, like pizza and ramen and just these different items that aren't inherently bad. All of these have a place, it's fucking fun to eat pizza as a family, okay? I'm not against these foods, but I did notice that when I was eating them consistently and without a regular meal plan for myself, my digestion was out of whack. And it got to the point where certain foods actually made me sick. Actually sick. It wasn't me making myself sick, but by consuming these foods, in turn, I was making myself sick. So I decided, hey, I need to hire more coaches. I recognize that this is not accessible to a lot of people. My second coaches, quite expensive. It's something that I really, really had to think about, and I had to tighten my purse strings on to be able to afford these coaches. But ultimately, it was so important to me to fix what was going on in my stomach that I just knew that I needed to make a change. So I hired these coaches. These coaches are intense. Okay, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It was an intense experience and I love it, but it takes a lot of dedication and determination to stick with this program that I'm on. So in my initial write-up, when they asked me all of these questions, I did mention that I had some targets that I wanted to hit. I wanted my quads to be out in full force. I wanted to strengthen my quads. I also wanted to strengthen my shoulders. I wanted to feel powerful. This was something that was important for me to note as well. Those goals weren't in line with the goals that I had a year and a half prior. Before that, I wanted to be skinny. I wanted to be thin. These were the words that I was using when I was talking about my body. And now, writing on this questionnaire, what are your goals? My goals were to be strong. And my goals were to feel good every day, to feel like I could go throughout my day and not feel sick. It's just wild. It's wild, the mental change that happened over the course of this year and a half and now to the 2 years. So it's important for me to mention that because I wish that I could sit here and tell you that I loved my body, that I loved it 2 years ago, but I just didn't. That wasn't my truth. And there's really nothing else that I can say about it. But what I can tell you is that sitting here now, my mindset is so different. And that's so important because I am just as worthy me 2 years ago as I am today. I just have a better mindset and I just have a better understanding of what my goals actually are. And if I could tell 2 years ago, Alyssa, anything, it's don't focus on the scale. Don't focus on what society is telling you you want. What do you want? I wanted to be able to move better. I wanted to be able to go on hikes with the dogs. I wanted to not feel pain in my chest. I wanted to not feel sick all the time and tired all the time. But I thought what I wanted was to be thin. But it just wasn't true. So this was a really cool eye-opening experience for me as well. Now I'm on the coaching program and I'm on a set meal plan. And they ask me, okay, do you have any dietary restrictions, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm starting to eat exactly the same thing every single day. There's 2 days where I eat a different way. I'm not gonna go fully into it, but everything was weighed and everything was down to the gram, okay? And this is when I realized that I was also under eating. So the first week of my program, I was stuffed to the brim. You guys, I could not get any more food in me. It was wild for me because I also realized I'm actually losing weight eating more food. I don't know fully how that worked. Maybe I was consuming different things and calories, whatever. But at this point, I'm consuming 2,100 calories a day and I'm actually losing weight. So long story short, I'm on this program for 3 months. And slowly we're changing the foods that I'm taking into my body and I'm losing weight and I'm getting stronger because I have a workout plan attached to it. I'm starting to lift pretty heavy in the gym for me. But what I noticed about a month in is that I had so much more energy to do things. Normally, I could only be out of the house for one thing at a time. If I was going to the grocery store, I could only go to the grocery store. If I was going to the gym, I could only go to the gym. After being on this meal plan, eating things that made me feel good, didn't make me feel sick after I ate them, I could combine things together now. I could go to the gym, stop at the grocery store, go to the post office, and then come home. I had the energy, the longevity to be able to do more than one thing at once. And that was something that was really, really cool for me because I didn't realize that it was attached to the nutrition that I was taking into my body. So I'm noticing, okay, I feel really good when I have spinach in my smoothies. I feel better when I'm eating more protein. I can't eat beans. Beans and lentils make me really sick. They expand in my stomach, they make me feel really bloated, and I don't feel good. So now I don't eat beans. We were working out what made my body feel good, and it's unreal. So 3 months in, I come off of the meal plan, and I'm starting to work in macros. And so what macros are, they're the macronutrients. It's carbs, proteins, and fats. There's so much information on YouTube about macros and counting your macros and whatever. But the reason that I continue to eat on a similar meal plan to what I was on in those 3 months is because I know that it makes me feel good. I'm not hungry ever. I'm eating enough to fuel my body and I feel good when I'm doing it. I can eat whatever I want. I still have Dairy Queen. I still have chicken fingers. I still have all of these fun meals that I want to have, but I just have them in moderation so that I don't make myself feel sick. And it's resulted in a body that's just different. Oh yeah, I became a yoga teacher in there as well. I missed that. It's a pretty big thing, but I missed that. Anyway, I became a yoga teacher. I was doing yoga like 6 times a day. It was crazy. That's where I'm at now. I'm working off of macros. I've found macros that make my body feel good, that aid in the goals that I've set for myself. Right now I'm trying to get stronger. I want my muscles to grow, so I'm eating more protein. And this is a sliding scale, so I can change it whenever I want. I can change my goals at any time. The main thing is I want to feel good. I want to feel energized and I want to feel healthy. That's the mindset. Long story short, that is my health and fitness journey in a long nutshell. My advice to anyone who's just starting out is don't rush it. I rushed it for years. I hired personal trainers and then fell off because I wasn't ready. I didn't have enough time. I wanted it to happen really quick. I wanted to be able to do the fad diets and just look a certain way. Creating new habits takes time and it takes discipline. It was extremely hard for me to quit drinking. It was extremely hard for me to go to the gym some days, but I somehow managed to do it and I felt better when I did. I somehow managed to stay sober and I'm so grateful I did. My advice to anyone who's struggling with wanting the results quicker is to start being in competition with yourself as you are today. Don't be in competition with yourself at 16. It doesn't make sense. Don't be in competition with yourself before you had a career and a mortgage and kids. It doesn't make sense. Be in competition with yourself with the time you have now available to you, with the variables that are around you, and with the you that you are today. My camera battery died. My second piece of advice, focus on how you feel and not how you look. And I know that that is so much easier said than done because I went through it. Focusing on the feeling, focusing on the strength, focusing on the happiness you get from certain exercises, that means so much more. And if you're enjoying the exercise and you're doing it consistently and you're eating to fuel your body and eating what makes you feel good, honestly what makes you feel good, it will probably result in a different body anyway. But the body comes second. The health aspect comes first. My third piece of advice is find what kind of movement is fun for you. Going on the treadmill is incredibly boring for a lot of people. Working out in a gym by yourself is incredibly boring for a lot of people. And it's a little bit harder right now, obviously, because a lot of things are closed, but when we're able to, try out different classes. Find a buddy that wants to try these with you. There's pole dancing, there's Orange Theory, there's yoga, bar, gosh, there's boxing, spin class. There's so many different ways to move your body. And that's all that we're doing. We're moving our body and we're fueling our body. Please don't feel like you have to work out like one person. Don't feel like you have to get on the Stairmaster because I do. Don't feel like you have to do HIIT workouts because someone on Instagram is doing them. Do what you like. If you like swimming, go swimming. If you like hiking, go hiking. It's all movement and it's all serving your body. My fourth piece of advice is actually stolen from Kirsten from the Big Booty Boss Academy, and that is love yourself now. Love your body now. It will be so much harder and not as fun if you're constantly putting yourself down. Love your body for taking you through these days now. I wish that I had done this 2 years ago. I wish that I had said, thank you, body, for allowing me to even have these thoughts, for being able to consume all this alcohol and not give up on me. Thank you for what you're doing for me now, and I'm gonna start doing more for you so that we can work together. So love yourself right now. Talk to yourself like you would talk to somebody that you love. And again, I know it's so much easier said than done, but I'm telling you, I went through it and it's so much easier for me now. My scale fluctuates. I don't care, okay? I love myself because I'm doing what makes me feel good. And if I wanted to eat pizza all weekend, I did it because it made me feel good. But then it stopped making me feel good. And so now I go back to what does make me feel good. Do you see what I'm saying? There's fluctuations and there's mobility and it's a sliding scale. This might not make me feel good forever. And if I decide that going to the gym all the time doesn't make me feel good anymore, I'm not gonna do it. That's also why I don't say, here's a before and after picture, because I'm not a before and after. And I know that that's something that's said a lot too, but I'm not a before and after. That was my body back then, and I was going through a lot. And I didn't have the right mindset to move my body in the same way. So it's not a before and after. I'm still here. My body is still going to change. I'm going to get older. My metabolism will slow. I might have kids. There's so many things. There's no after picture. We're a right now picture. There's different seasons of our life, and our body is going to change. But I want my mindset to stay where it is right now, and that's loving myself and doing what makes my body feel good. And my fifth piece of advice is start small. So this is kind of similar to don't rush it, but just start small. Start with a walk to the end of the block. Start with going to the mailbox. Start with walking around your driveway. Start with a 5-minute YouTube video. You can start wherever your body wants to start now. Find something that is sustainable and doesn't hurt your body so much the next day that you can't continue. It's not a competition with anyone else. It's not a race to see how fast we can get somewhere. It's how can I make my body feel good today? Does it feel good moving my body in this way? Does it serve me to eat in this way today? Start small. Make small changes. Eventually those small changes, we're just stacking upon them. And now you're somewhere completely different 2 years later. Starting small was really, really hard for me, coming from a background where I could go, and I was in cheerleading and all of these things, and I could bend my body and move my body, but I'm different now. And so I know that I need to take it slow. And when I do different exercises, I need to try it out for a bit to see how far into it I can go. Where's my limit? And then I honor my body when my body says that's your limit. Whew, that's my soapbox. So for those of you who specifically want to know what I do in a week, I eat basically the same thing every single day. I eat chicken, veggies, and rice. I eat beef, veggies, and rice. I have yogurt. I have smoothies. Those are the kinds of things that I'm eating because it makes my body feel good. For my workout program, I do full body throughout the week. So say on Monday I did chest, Tuesday I'm gonna do legs. Wednesday, I'm gonna do shoulders. Thursday, I'm gonna do back. Friday, I'm gonna do glutes. Saturday, I'm gonna just do cardio. So I kind of work through that way, and once I get to the end of my whole body, I start the process back over. In the beginning of my fitness journey, my health journey, I did 1 to 2 days a week at the gym. At this point, I go to the gym 5 to 6 times a week, sometimes every day of the week. Whatever feels good in my body, I do. And I've got there by slowly adding upon the movement that I'm bringing into my body. And now I'm at the point where I can go to the gym 6 times a week and not feel sore and not feel super fatigued or like I'm unable to do so. It's just become a really natural part of my day, and I really look forward to going. I want to go to the gym. I want to go to the gym right now. The gym is now my safe space and my fun and an activity that really brings me a lot of joy. So I'm at that place right now. But if you're hearing me say, I go to the gym 6 times a week, and you now think you need to go to the gym 6 times a week, that's not the right mindset to be in. The right mindset is, how often am I moving my body right now? And then move it a little bit more tomorrow. I think that's it. I think that's all. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it answered some of the questions you have about my fitness journey, about what I've been doing, how I got to where I am right now. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you got to the end, bravo. This is a long video, and I hope that you join me in the next one and we can maybe move our bodies together sometime, because yeah, I am a certified yoga teacher, man. I did that. 2 years ago, me could never. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.